Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about one of the important periods of English literature, the Caroline period, which is also known as the Age of Milton and the Interregnum. So without further ado, let's get started. The term Caroline is derived from Carolus, the Latin word for Charles. The Caroline era refers to the period in English and Scottish history named for 24 years' reign of King Charles I, from 1625 to 1649, after his father James I. The Caroline Age was dominated by the growing religious, political and social conflicts between the king and his supporters termed as Royalists and the Parliamentarians or the Puritans that emerged during Charles' rule. This is the age of Puritanism, and this is also known as the Age of Milton, as John Milton is a dominant literary figure of the Puritan Age. It is also the age of English Civil War that lasted from 1642 to 51. This age also marks the end of Renaissance theatre, as the Elizabethan and Jacobean theatres were closed in 1642 with the beginning of the Civil War. For better understanding of the socio-political situation of the time, let's quickly look at who Charles I was. King Charles I lived during 1600 to 1649. He was the second son of King James I. Charles was not the first choice for heir apparent. He became an heir apparent only in 1612 when his elder brother Henry Frederick died. Thus, Charles I became the heir apparent of England, Ireland and Scotland put together at the age of 12. Charles I was crowned king in 27 March 1625. He was a staunch believer of divine right of kinship and absolutist monarchy. England at that time was predominantly a Puritan or Protestant state, and the marriage of Charles I with Henrietta Maria made English people very angry because she was of the opinion of Roman Catholic faith. So the England was unhappy right from the beginning of Charles I's rule. Furthermore, King Charles I was very stubborn and arrogant king who did not consider Parliament's opinion while taking his decisions, and took some irrational and reckless decisions without the consent of Parliament during his rule. And this proved to be the only reason for his downfall. Thus we find constant and deadly struggle between king and Parliament right from the beginning of Charles' rule. Here we find two distinct groups. Those who supported the king were called cavaliers or royalists. Most of them were lords and their dependents. And the second group was of the people who were against royalists and who supported Parliament. Most of them were Puritans and they were nicknamed as Roundheads. The Royalists or Cavaliers were considered more powerful in terms of their nobility and power because the Church and Royalists were together. But Parliamentarians and Puritans were also the ones who ran the trading companies and controlled the most of the economy of the nation. We have come to know by now that Puritans play a very crucial role in the establishment of this age. So it becomes indispensable for us to know more about who the Puritans were. Puritans were the group of people who sought to reform the nation. They were not satisfied with the religious practices and settlement made in England. They believed that Church of England should entirely differ from Church of Rome or Roman Catholic practices. Hence, they were in their beliefs the true descendants of Wycliffe and Lollards. The group was a Reformed English Protestants who aimed at purifying the Church of England. They wanted to eradicate all the Catholic practices from the Church of England. They had a very strict views concerning life and conduct. They could not tolerate any earthly tyranny in any form. Due to their strict behavior and views regarding life, they became highly unpopular during those times. King Charles I was ruling without a parliament for 11 years, and during those 11 years, we found London in particular making a lot of modernization. There were also new roads which were built in London and England. Charles also started postal service system in England. He also addressed the unemployment issues. In terms of architecture, he introduced European and imperial style of architecture in the city of London. A significant point to be noted here is that Parliament never wanted to take down Charles entirely. They wanted to bring in the balance of power. Since Charles believed in divine right of kinship and absolutist monarchy, it was very difficult to negotiate with him. And this deadly and constant struggle between monarch and the parliament finally led to the English Civil War. And in the year 1642, Charles I enlists an army against parliament and civil war breaks out in England. Initially, royalists had a series of successes because Charles already had a trained army and Parliament did not have that ability in them. At this point of time, we find Oliver Cromwell enters and changes the game. He was a staunch Puritan. He created a very disciplined army by 1645. His army defeated royalists, and in 1647, we find King Charles I in Roundhead custody. But Charles, being an arrogant king, refuses to negotiate with Parliament and does not accept the authority of the court to put him under trial. He continues to be imprisoned and Parliament also loses patience and they finally executed Charles. He is condemned on 27 Jan 1649 and on 30 Jan 1649 he is executed and he is in fact beheaded. At this point of time, Oliver Cromwell comes and assumes the power as a Lord Protector of the Commonwealth of the England, Scotland and Ireland from 1653 to 1659. Cromwell is often seen as a controversial figure of the history. We are not sure whether he is a hero of liberty or a dictator. He tries to catch hold of any royalist and Roman Catholic who remained even after the end of the Civil War. Hence, he also did not gain much popularity among people. Now let's quickly look at the Interregnum period, which begins from 1649 to 59. The period is dominated by the rule of Oliver Cromwell. Interregnum is a short period when Oliver Cromwell ruled England for a while as a Lord Protector of England soon after the Civil War. But soon England was growing dissatisfied with the rigorous and strict Puritan rule under Cromwell. Cromwell died in 1658, leaving behind the political instability and unrest. The term interregnum is used to describe the period between Civil War and the Restoration Age. It was all about the socio-political background of the Caroline and Interregnum periods. In this video, I have tried to cover all the crucial turn of events relating to the rule of Charles I and Oliver Cromwell. In the later session, I will be discussing all the literary outputs of these periods. Till then, stay tuned for more such videos.